Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Mindful Garden. It's a beautiful day. It's still daytime. A little earlier today for my video. We'll see how this goes today. I haven't been feeling very deeply connected, but in the last few minutes before I got going here, things have been lighting up a little bit, which has been nice. Although I did have some things that I have had cross my mind anyway that we will touch upon today. But as usual now, I've started getting myself centered, and we'll just get whoever's watching this video to get centered with me. So we'll take some deep breaths and center ourselves and bring ourselves into our heart space so we can have some good communication. And just like that, I drop down and feel more centered. Now, from an atheistic standpoint, let's look at that and see what that is. It's just bringing about a calm to my body by slowing down my heart rate a little bit before I interact with people so that I have a better interaction. So let's explain it that way. From a spiritual standpoint, what I am doing is dropping into my heart space, which is in the center of my chest roughly, which is an energetic center of your body, which is included with your heart as a physical part of that energetic system. And you reside in that when you need recuperation and love from the universe. And in that space is where we actually connect to everything. So that is why, to be going into a big audience or anything, you should center yourself. Even if you do not believe in anything, just a simple centering of yourself will bring you into your heart space, even without knowing, and help you connect better to the crowd and everyone that you're talking to. That's one thing I wanted to touch on. It just kind of came out, so that's good. Oh, excuse me. The other thing I was wanting to touch on is the common state of affairs that we have going on, and what's our ills for today. What are our problems, and how do we deal with them some? A lot of what we are doing to ourselves is perpetuating harm that we have learned from our ancestors accidentally. So we're perpetuating traumas, even little ones, over and over again, and it builds up over time. So we eventually will have a generational shift where we center ourselves and get back to dealing with these traumas in a proper way. And it may, unfortunately, take Mother Nature going right to the extreme of nearly wiping us out. I don't like to think that way. I think we can learn from the many wise teachers that are around that we have that teach us the ways of being heart-centered and connecting to people. And that is exactly what is the main crux of our problem, is we have severed our connection to each other. And in doing so, we have severed our spiritual connection to Source, as we want to call it, as people want to call God. But that is just our connection to the universe. And it's not that we can actually completely sever connection, but we're living in a false pretense of a severed connection that is created through trauma. And we are doing it just out of perpetuating things that we think are helpful. Like, for instance, daylight savings time is this is a prime example. Twice a year, we change our clocks around the world in a lot of countries. Not all the countries, at least the smart ones. And in some provinces in Canada, they don't, which is smart. Because what you're doing is you're actually purposely causing problems with people's internal clocks. Now, travelers know this as jet lag. Now, if we do this twice a year, we're putting people through jet lag twice a year. Now, that doesn't seem like much, and if people have proper coping mechanisms, they can handle it. But we haven't taught anybody proper, tongue-tied, we haven't taught those coping mechanisms, and that is part of the problem with our society, is we don't interject with our children soon enough and start building up the meditation and self-care that they need to keep themselves strong in a spiritual sense and keep their spirit to themselves. We've designed a society that breaks spirits to make a person dependable and needy. And doing that, we don't make ourselves a very stable society. We make it a lopsided society where the people who are in control of everything continue the cycle of breaking spirits so that they can always have those broken spirits working for them, instead of building those spirits up and making it so that we have a joyful group of people who contribute to society and build a better world. Now, how do we fix this when our main engine of society is driven by perpetuating trauma? It takes little baby steps. It takes people like me, like you who are watching, like those around the world who are gurus and that, who are educating people spiritually, health-wise, and in basic maintenance. And it just takes a little word of encouragement for that guy on the street even. He's like, toss some coins and sit down beside him. Don't just toss some coins and walk by. Toss some coins and sit down with him and say, how's your day today? And connect. Because that is the exact problem. No connection. Drug issues, trauma issues, abuse, the way we accept abuse at work and take work that does not treat us well. This is a huge one, because we are all feeling on a large scale slave to the system, because the way we have our relationship with work, it's not a healthy relationship with work. Because we are forced into work, we do not decide to do work on our own accord. We break the cycle of trauma by self-healing. And in self-healing, we understand how the trauma affects us so that we no longer traumatize people. Now, I have work to do because I have traumatized people in the past, and I have to reconcile that over time. It's work. I can only work with what the universe gives me, and people will come and go as they please. But as we work through this, it's most important for us to connect with people. And I think that's where our internet and our ability, like even kids these days are connecting in gaming. Like, everyone gets down on them for it, but I see them building friendships, learning teamwork, and stuff like that. So if we direct the gameplay and create immersive games that have clues and lessons within them, we can educate our children that way. It's very important for us to work proactively in our media, which has been a major failing right now, is because of freedom of speech, we've given this illusion that speaking freely means that we have no responsibility for our words. And unfortunately, free speech means we should have full responsibility for our words. And that is why it's important for us to create media that educates as well as just entertains. Because if we have a cartoon, say, that has dark imaging in it, that doesn't have the lessons that go along with that dark imaging, we're going to actually traumatize people to that dark imaging. So TV shows, if you notice, if you watch whole show usually end on a happy note because they usually bring and close out their little initiations of bits of trauma and drama in the show. And it's well crafted shows that draw you in and teach you lessons, and you feel like you actually had a positive exchange. Chelsea here is asking a beautiful question. This is a good question, and I'm going to put that one out into the universe and see if I can get a response. Do we really speak freely anymore? It seems everyone speaks for someone, which is kind of true because of our programming from media. We speak freely, but we don't speak responsibly. And because of that, our society is choking free speech. Free speech will be limited if we don't take up the responsibility of that speech. That's what I'm getting. That was an interesting one. I wasn't expecting that. It's like society evolves to limit us in ways because we don't know how to mind ourselves. And then that limitation restricts us to a point that we get angry, and then we bust through that limitation eventually, which is probably what the whole progression of empires and everything is. But we don't know. So let's talk about how to solve some of these ills. One thing, we can have more responsible employers. This is going to be a hard one because they're so lost to profit. But if employers start being more responsible and looking out for the health of their employees, that will go a long way, instead of just trying to use and abuse their employees to get as much out of them as they can. And in most employment, there is a massive amount of lip service served to people saying that they look out for the health of their employees, but they don't actually do that. So let's close out with a little bit of a prayer. For those who have closed hearts, might they be open. That's been my common theme lately. To the cold hearts, might we send them warmth. To the steel hearts, might we send them lava to melt that heart away. Might we get everyone to be open and free and see the connection we need to each other, so that we might heal the trauma that we keep doing to each other and see the errors of our ways. Amen. Thank you for everybody who joined me. Walk in peace, you beautiful angels of light and darkness. We are warriors, but we are warriors of peace. Walk and mind that peaceful path. You guys have a good night. Bless.